All right, welcome back to the PCC podcast. And today's episode is going to be a really important one because I know that so many of you ladies who listen to this podcast feel like you have a discipline problem, a motivation problem, a willpower problem, something that has to do with your innate ability to follow through. And this episode is going to explain to you why discipline is not the answer to your fat loss problem. Okay. Because if it was, you'd be done at this point. You already know what to do, you've been disciplined before. It's when life gets stressful that everything falls apart. This episode really is for the woman who keeps being told to try harder and knows that advice doesn't actually survive real life. Okay. So if it's not discipline, why does all of this keep collapsing, right? Great question. So here's what focusing on fat loss really becomes when you're trying to be disciplined, when you're trying to use willpower. What that looks like, discipline based fat loss looks like 300 calorie meals, obsessing over your macros, debating if you should buy that like weird protein sparkling water, having one cookie and feeling like you blew it. And fat loss just turns into another task, another drain on your energy, another thing on your plate. And the deficit feels fragile. It's like if I go over my calories like once, then I screw it, right? I just messed up. That's not building consistency. That's trying to survive when you're already high capacity and putting something on your plate that has you overflowing. Okay. So that's trying to use self control under pressure, not discipline. Okay. And discipline and restriction honestly creates a lot of all or nothing thinking. Okay. And you guys have been there. You know what this feels like, right? Where one mistake doesn't just affect the day, it affects how you feel about yourself, identity, right? It's like I made a mistake and that means I'm a failure. So what's the point? If I'm a failure, I'm not going to, make progress anyways, right? And perfection honestly feels safer than flexibility because mistakes feel dangerous, right? At some point along the way in our lives, us perfectionists learned that mistakes are a threat to our identity, that if we make mistakes, we are less than. If we make mistakes, we are less worthy. If we make mistakes, that something's wrong with us. And a lot of y'all who are listening to this, I just want to honor you've been through some shit. Like some of this stuff was embedded deeply in your childhood. Okay. And so I don't say that just to stir it up. I say that to help you acknowledge the fact that you have learned that making mistakes means something that it doesn't. Because now in your current reality, you're not in danger for making a mistake. But losing control still feels personal to you. And that's why you spiral. Okay. This is why you keep starting over on Mondays. So here's how this looks, right? Is Monday, you're fresh, you're hopeful. I made the plan, it's perfect, I'm excited, and you're dialed in, you're ready to go, and like all the intentions are full speed ahead. Okay. Second is Tuesday is like tough but manageable, and you push through, you go to the gym anyways, whatever. Wednesday is when probably decision fatigue hits and you start to let one or two things slip, but you say, okay, I'm just going to keep pushing through, keep pushing through. And then add in real life stress, like whether it's winter right now as I'm recording this, or like work is heavy or just high emotional load. And then Thursday comes and it's like, hey, do you want to go to happy hour? And you're like, shoot, I already messed up a little bit on Wednesday, so I might as well just go, right? And then Thursday, you have a couple too many drinks, and then you feel like you screwed it up. So Friday, Saturday become a free for all, a guilt fest, a gorge fest because you are guilty. And then Saturday night into Sunday is a guilt spiral. And then you plan to reset and start over that Monday again, right? And the reason why this keeps happening is not because you lack discipline. It's because you're tired, you're overstimulated, and your brain is choosing relief. So it takes the path of least resistance, and Monday becomes a psychological reset for you rather than just another plan. So the thing you need to remember here is that willpower will always fail when life gets heavy because it doesn't account for the fact that your nervous system is on overdrive. Willpower doesn't account for the fact that you have 30,000 decisions to make in a day, and what you need to eat to hit your protein goal is just another one on top. Okay. So willpower can't fix this problem. You can't just like all of a sudden muster out more from yourself when you're already running on empty, because willpower requires energy, it requires bandwidth, it requires emotional capacity, and stress drains all three. Stress specifically activates the part of the brain, the amygdala, in our sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight side of our nervous system, that creates an emotionally driven brain. And the logic part of our brain cannot be turned on to the highest degree when the emotional part of our brain is on. It operates like a seesaw. And so, in order to use willpower, you by default have to be in a low stress state. And so, this isn't about having less stress or better circumstances or having a better plan. It's about understanding that discipline only works in calm environments, and real life is never going to be calm. So you don't have a discipline problem, you have an operating under stress problem. Okay. So the real issue for you is not fat loss, it's what happens when stress hits. You know what to do. The basics work. That has never changed. Okay. Hit your calorie deficit, hit your steps, drink your water, get good sleep, and strength train a couple times per week. It's not crazy and it will work. What happens is that stress hits and it goes out the window. Okay. What we actually need is nervous system regulation so you can stay regulated in higher baselines of stress and stay consistent. Okay. And what nervous system regulation is not, I want to be very clear, is not breath work to where you're like crying on the floor because you're like hyperventilating yourself. It's not weird affirmations that you shout in the mirror or journal 1,000 times a day. It's not woo woo. It sounds woo woo, but it's really practical. At the end of the day, nervous system regulation is what creates consistency, and consistency creates results. It's about actually showing up in those hard moments and teaching your nervous system that you are safe to act in those moments. And that's what helps you become the version of yourself that no longer falls off track when there's pressure. So just remember that nervous system regulation is not fixed all in one go. Consistency does not have to be forced. All of this is something that you train your brain and your body to receive over the course of time and over the course of many, many, many little situations that add up. So if you take nothing else away from this, I just want you to know that you're not stupid. You're not broken. You do know what to do, but you're missing follow through under stress. Okay. So if you want to lose the weight without focusing on fat loss, without it being another thing, without burning out, without starting over on Monday again and again and again, I did a whole masterclass on this topic. If you love this long form type of content, you want to really learn about what nervous system regulation actually is and how it actually looks in practice so that you can start to understand what needs to shift for you to start getting unstuck, then you can send me a message on Instagram. Just ask me for the nervous system upgrade masterclass. And it was February 17th. Right now, as I'm recording it, it's the 19th. You might be listening to this 2 years from now. So just ask me for the 2026 February masterclass, and I will send that to you, and you can get to listening and get to learning. Okay. So just remember, you don't need more willpower. You need a system that works when life isn't calm. So thank you guys so much for listening. I really appreciate your attention because I know that that is your most valuable resource. This is a short one today, but hopefully a potent and powerful one. And I will look forward to seeing you back here for the next episode. Don't forget to subscribe if you liked this. And thank you so much for listening.